instead pushed him towards drugs and made death a recurring theme in his music.
One thing that I notice in your music videos is this imagery of you falling to your death. Is there anywhere that comes from? Does that represent anything?
Something that I ponder, and to process the thoughts, and especially because I've lost people in my life when I was younger, and it was pretty heavy duty for me. That was always a big thing of like, well, what happens after life? And almost in a way, preparing myself for my own death.
By middle school.
Well, hello. Welcome back, friends. Now, this reading today, I have many opinions about, and it could go either way for me. I only watched a few videos on this because the video that really got me wanting to do this was the channeling session by YouTuber Candace Starr. Now, if you've never heard of her or not watched her, she is phenomenal. She does channeling and auto drawing. But what the main thing is Candace got nothing. She said this was the first time it ever happened to her, that she wasn't even able to see Oliver, and she was pretty much warned not to talk about this, or not to talk about what she saw. So I would really like to know what happened, and I'm sure a few of you do too. So we're gonna throw some cards and see. But before we get started, I've got a great surprise for you. I have a new deck of cards. This is the first reading I've done with them. The most important thing is the deck is, drumroll please. Yes, the Garbage Pail Kids. Now, if you were a 80s or 90s baby, you're gonna know exactly who Garbage Pail Kids are. I saw this deck and I absolutely had to have it. Well, Books A Million had it on their shelf. So your girl grabbed the Garbage Pail Kids. Now the book said that, so I still have to look up and see who is who. They're really not that familiar to me anymore, and that breaks my heart because I used to collect these like a mad woman. But it says that there are some new characters that have been added to this deck. So, whoa. So I'm going to be excited to see how they have incorporated my beloved Garbage Pail Kids into a tarot deck. All right, you guys, you ready to get started? Got a few questions here. Got 8 questions. And depending on how those are answered, there can be a few more that I want to ask that will go over the theme or the energy of the deck, and will be answered by that. So let's start with the first question. Why did Oliver say his family wouldn't receive a dime of his inheritance, that it would be donated? Show us what happened with his separation from Atlantic Records. Moving right along here, question number 3. The truth of the rumor that Oliver was suing Big Pharma. Now, the footage that's been shown where the 2 helicopters are colliding, but it's either footage of 2 helicopters colliding or a picture, depending on what news agency that you watch. That footage, or that picture, is from a 2024 crash from in Malaysia. So I want to know, why is the footage from a 2024 crash being passed off as Oliver's? Okay, and the significance of the crash over an electric car lot. I don't know if you know or not, but to those that don't, not trying to insult the ones that do, electric cars have lithium-ion batteries in them. Now these batteries, they burn intensely hot, and not just that, they give off a smoke that is really, really dangerous. So to me, that kind of feels like that's not a coincidence. Around here, we don't believe in coincidences. Now, expose a lie. reveal a truth. And what is it that is needed to know? Hot dog. Why he said his family would not receive a dime. King of Wands. I'll show you each card here. These have just the best illustrations on them. I love these sets. The King of Wands speaks of a man that's got fierce autonomy. This person is hinged on their vision, and they've got their own personal authority on anyone else's. This card suggests that this statement came more out of, like, you know, control and attention, not really anger or spite. It's a strategy. Now, this is, you know, there's some people that just want to be the architects of their own legacy. You know, it's complete dominion over, you know, where your power lies after you die, you know, after you're no longer here. It's a declaration of sovereignty, if you will. I mean, it's not abandonment, but it's showing that he's got a specific vision for his wealth. Now, that does not include conventional inheritance. So, this charity was a savings account, if that makes sense. I'd like to know the inner workings of that charity, like who it really belongs to, because I guarantee you it ties right back to him. The separation from Atlantic Records. Let's look out here. This is the sun in the reversed position. You know, the sun when it's upright shows, you know, being basked in the rays and the light of it, but now reversed, it shows it being shaded. Now, the shade is going against his joy and success. It's been blocked. There is a real sense of a situation that's quietly suffocating, being a slave to the man here, because yeah, that's definitely what it is. Because this separation, I'm going to tell you right now, it was not clean, nor was it mutual, but it's kind of like having a common enemy. You know what I'm saying? When there's more to gain working together than working against, you have like what a truce pact, or what that's called, something like that. That's what this is looking like. That's what it feels like. Truth of the rumor, he was saving Big Pharma. This is the Magician in the reverse position. Well, I'll tell you this. Reversed is manipulation. As a truth position, it looks like the lawsuit narrative is being weaponized, fabricated. Either the lawsuit wasn't what it appeared to be, or the paperwork existed, but was it meant to move on, like actually see a courtroom, or someone's using this idea of a lawsuit as leverage and distraction. But whatever it is, there's definitely smoke here. It's just a fire, the fire stage, if that makes sense. Live footage from a 2024 crash is being shown as Oliver's. This is the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, she governs intuition, emotion, feelings over facts. Now, the Queen of Cups also has a very deceptive undercurrent, because what I'm seeing here is this footage has been circulated through emotionally driven channels, the news, YouTube, where it's most viewed by people that's like asleep, sheeples, I guess you could say. That's not hip to what the true agenda is, because it's speaking to people behind the scenes, deliberately feeding this narrative to your emotionally vulnerable audience. It's steering this with a calculated emotional manipulation. That feels like loose to me. So the significance of the crash over an electric car lot. We have here the Seven of Wands. Ooh, this is symbolic. Electric vehicles, they carry loaded meanings. They signify industry disruption, technology wars. It's even competing our power structures with this. So this card tells that this location was not coincidental, but rather it's a battlefield. A battlefield of your competing narratives. Now, it's multiple parties fighting over what this location means and who controls the narrative. So, who multiple parties? I'm saying 2 of them is going to be Oliver and the record company. But it looks like more than that involved. Unfortunately, more than that involved that would benefit off of Oliver's death, if that makes sense. So, exposing a lie. 7 of Cups reversed. Ooh. This right here is showing that illusions are brought into focus with the 7 of Cups reversed. The lie here is already started unraveling, but it's elaborate and multi-layered. Is someone building a fantasy but struggling to maintain as reality presses in? Kind of like, you know, you see watch these interrogations and these people get busted because each time they tell the story, it grows, they add something, they subtract something. It's obvious at this point that it's not right. It's something is off here, which 90% of people are feeling about this. So that's right on point. Revealing a truth. We have got the 7 of Cups in the reverse position. No, my bad. Wait, the same one we did. The 9 of Wands is the truth. 9 of Wands is the card of the wounded warrior. Now wait a minute. It's been battered, but still standing. Okay. This is someone who's fought long and hard against forces working against them. This is Oliver 100%. So what this is telling you here is that he knew he was a target. You know, when you've been through enough battles to recognize the pattern, it's not been, you know, you're not naive to the dangers around you. This tells that he was braced for impact. That vigilance and that weariness were both very much real. Lots to lose if this didn't go off just according to plan. Whoa, last question here. What needs to be known? You have the 2 of Wands reversed. This card is a stalled, deliberately suppressed vision. I mean, it's planning. This tells you that the full picture has not been released. What I'm saying is plans, documents, intentions, even evidence. That exists, but it's not being revealed because it's not come to light yet. It's just something that's set in motion that's never been completed in the whole arc of things. Now, the reverse 2 of Wands, this is urging us not to accept the current narrative, but to more or less have a continued inquiry about it because there is way more to unfold. I mean, this spread's energy is a consistent undercurrent of suppressed truth, emotional manipulation, unfinished revelation. You know, it's a narrative war actively being fought. One prominent lie beginning to collapse. Yeah, the final direction. Keep looking for the truth. So now, based on these cards and the energy of this reading, when it comes to whether he's dead or did he fake his death, the cards say faked. Because let's start up back here. 2 of Wands, reversed. What needs to be known is a planned departure with a destination concealed. Now you combine that with the Magician, reversed, misdirection. Misdirection is the operate mechanism of everything surrounding this man. Everything. Now the sun reversed, it don't show a meaning, but rather a false sunrise. Something staged to look like a conclusion. 9 of Wands, it's pleasant too. It says he's ready, you know. You don't carry that kind of battle-worn diligence with having an exit mapped. Not at all. So, was he just an actor playing a role now moving on? King of Wands here says yes. And now, was this Oliver Tree just an actor? He's fulfilled his role. Now he's moving on to the next performance. King of Wands. King of Wands says, oh yes. Not only that, but Mr. Oliver chose the timing because kings, they don't like to be removed. Oh no. They advocate on their own terms. Look at, what's that one, Prince Edward, that advocated for Queen Elizabeth's father to become king. He did that because he wanted to be with Wallace Simpson. So he advocated on his own terms. All kings advocate on their own terms. I say, the statement about his family receiving nothing, well, that reads correctly now because, and it wasn't even cruelty and it wasn't anger. Severing ties before disappearance ensures that you don't inherit from someone who isn't legally dead. You also don't come looking for someone whose estate is already closed. Absolutely. He played the role. The role ended, he authored the exit, and now he's on to the next. Because Kena said that what she did see of him, that his whole appearance was different. Why? Because he's no longer Oliver Tree. Oliver Tree did die, yes, but not the man who played it. Last question that I really have, I got two more here. I do two more I gotta think of here. One plane supposedly had Oliver, a pilot, and 3 other passengers. But the one it collided with only had a pilot, no passengers. And I think that's odd, that there's no manifesto for that plane, or I keep saying plane, for that helicopter. So what brings to mind for me is that the other helicopter, was it controlled remotely, or did it have a human pilot? The 7 of Wands here, where the location that the crash happened, being on top of an electric car outlet or car lot, that's the key card, because this card's about staged defensive position, controlled variables. Now the plane with no passengers is the controlled element, because think about it. The one variable in the scenario that had to be predictable was the one it collided with, because a human pilot, now that's going to bring with them unpredictability in the highest of form, but not just that. Loyalty questions, witnesses, the less the better. So that was definitely no human pilots. It's a remote operation on a second craft of the highest degree, because the Queen of Cups handling the footage narrative, it confirms someone's managing that emotional response to what was seen. It's steering people away from asking why one manifest was suspiciously clean. This is definitely an engineer scenario. One primary architect. And you know who that primary architect is? He walked away from it. God almighty. So, I kind of feel like, so did Atlantic Records and Oliver Tree work together to feed, this was not a cash grab. I've seen some people saying that this was a cash grab for Oliver. It's definitely not, because money has no meaning to it. Money's got no meaning to you when you got so much already. Think about it. $500 is $5 to some people, and $5 is $500 to other people. Money was definitely not an option or object here for Oliver. But what was is the loosh. So did Oliver and Atlantic Records work together to feed off the energy coming from those who believed he had died and would be affected by it? Now this is where the reading is going to get real dark and layered. So let's just go through this. The Magician reverse carries the entire answer. And this card's already flagged stage power and collaborative misdirection, because it's not just one deceiver, it's a whole system of deception. Multiple hands operating it. For this to work the way it's working, both sides had to be pulling the same rope. They had to. It didn't work without one or the other. It just couldn't. Because the Queen of Cups, that confirms the energy harvest. This is the card that explains the footage circulation, and now it's esoteric tradition, understanding emotional energy as a resource, right? Loosh. Grief, obsession. Now this, conspiracy fervor. Even that, yes sir. And even devotion. It's all energy of the highest form. Each stage is covered with this. This has definitely been fed to audiences with precision. It's just to keep the emotional current flowing. Now, the 7 of Wands here, This reframes completely because what looks like a contested battlefield now is a controlled arena. Both sides holding wands. The conflict itself, that's the product. This opposition was never real. It was only, Oliver and the opposition with Atlantic Records was never completely real because he knew he could make his music no matter what. This is a theatrical tension. Now that's designed to generate sides, having an investment emotionally, and continuous engagement. Because look here, that's all we've talked about. And no matter what form you talk about them in, whether we're talking about them as mourning him or like I am calling out the deception, it's still energy being harvested. It's still energy released. The Seven of Cups reversed is the lie within the lie, because the lie isn't just that he's dead. Here's where it's layered. The lie is that there were never two opposing sides. That's the big one. That is the big one. The entire conflict, the label, pharma, crash, the investigation, it's all co-written. It's all script. Because the Nine of Wands recontextualizes. It's showing his weariness and vigilance wasn't just defeating. It wasn't defeating against enemies at all. It's maintaining that performance of being under threat long enough to make the exit believable. He was losing his craft of being believable or being able to play that part. I'm never amazed by this. Oh gosh, the Two of Wands reversed. That's a concealed plan. It's not just escape, because it's jointly. Jointly means he was helped to go to the next chapter. Now this energy generated by his death continues feeding something neither side wants, him or Atlantic Records, wants publicly acknowledged. That's what Candace was afraid to talk about. Yeah. Now the bottom line from the cards is that it's a closed loop. It's the subject, which is Oliver, and his alleged enemies, which is Atlantic Records. They were never truly opposed. They were never enemies. The public grief, the conspiracy theories, the obsessive searching, the obsessive talking about it, that's collective emotional energy being the intended harvest right there. It's something collected right now from every person who can't stop looking and talking about it, even me here. But the most chilling card in this whole thing is the Queen of Cups, because she don't generate emotions, she collects them. Y'all, this is just coming to the point to where the best thing to do to starve them of that energy is to not pay no mind, ignore it, and it'll go away, right? You don't keep stirring shit, it don't keep stinking. Or you shouldn't sit in shit long enough, and you negate to smell it anymore. Wow. Yeah, what a read. All right, guys. Thanks for being here to go through this read with me. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye now.